Hey, what's good, YouTube? This is the iconic Class 321 back at it again with another deck list for you guys today. Today I'm taking my hand at the Traptrix Structure Deck. I bought 3 of them, put them together, and made the best Traptrix deck here on YouTube. This deck has a lot of swarming ability to it, can get a lot of good link and exceed plays onto it, as well as also being able to stop your opponent's deck from playing in its entirety. But without further ado, let's rock it into the deck list. So kicking us off into the main deck, we have 3 copies of our Traptrix Era Chinokaba. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. She's level 4 Insect Monster. Well, all of them are, with the effect of being unaffected by all whole normal trap cards. Also, the first time each set card in your field will be destroyed by card effect, it is not. And also during your main phase, if you control a Traptrix monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can't special summon monsters from the extra deck for this turn except insect or plant monsters. So she's basically a free body on board, protects your back row from being destroyed, and overall it's great to the deck. Next up, we're going to 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis.
Good morning. What a great day.
Apologies for that setback, folks, but we do have our 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis here. She is also infected by whole cards, and when this card is normal summon, you can add 1 Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand. And she also has a quick effect that you can target 1 set spell trap card you control, return to the hand, then you can set another spell or trap card from your hand. So she basically replaces set cards with other set cards, and she also has a normal summon effect that can add a Traptrix monster from the deck to your hand. So she's a great searcher. Next up, we have 3 copies of Traptrix Yugioh. She is once again unaffected by all whole cards, and when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 whole normal trap from your deck to your hand. And if it's special summoned, you can target 1 spell trap card your opponent controls. It gets popped. For our 2-Os, we play Traptrix Putika, also unaffected by all whole cards. And when this card is normal summoned, you can add 1 Traptrix Garden from your deck to your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls, and you can banish it until your opponent's next standby phase. We also have 2 copies of Traptrix Dionea. Again, affected by the whole cards, and you can target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon that target in defense position. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 whole normal trap card in your graveyard, set that target, and banish it during the end phase of the next turn if it is still on the field. So she recurs your trap cards for you. She has a normal and special summon effect, so she's extremely versatile in that regard as well. Finally, we're leaving off on 2 copies of 1-ofs, 1 copy of Yugioh, and 1 copy of Nephthys. In Nephthys' case, you can add 1 card from your hand or special summon 1 Traptrix monster from your deck except Nephthys if you activate a whole trap card. And for Yugioh, with its effect, you set 1 trap card you control the graveyard. Then you can special summon this card from your hand. If you control no cards, you can special summon this card in your spell and trap zone. You can banish this card from your graveyard, and you can target 1 whole normal trap card in your graveyard and set to the field. So they revert cost, and they also get you cards back as well. Finally, for the monster lineup, we're playing 3 Ash, Blossom, and Joyous Spring. You guys played Yu-Gi-Oh! For any amount of time, you know how powerful this card can be. Stop your opponent's plays right from activating, and overall it's a great disruption. Next up, our spell and trap lineup. We don't play too many spells in the deck. Obviously, it's not a spell deck. But for these, we're playing 3 copies of Trap, Tantalize, and Tune. It allows you to discard 1 level 4 insect plant card or normal trap. You draw 2 cards. Then you can banish it from the graveyard, target 1 of your banished level 4 insect or plant monsters or normal traps, and place it at the bottom of your deck. So overall, it has great recursion abilities, let you get out any kind of cards you may or may not have in your banished section, and can also just overall help you draw into cards you need. Next up, 3 Raigeki. Never thought I'd see the day where this card would come back to 3, but overall, with how fast-paced Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it's not hard to set up a new board after it's been nuked. Still, this is pretty good as it can destroy your entire opponent's field in just 1 go. Finally, we're setting off on 2 1-ofs. First off, we have Traptrix Garden, and we have Harpy Feather Duster. Obviously, you guys know how very powerful feather duster is. It is still limited at 1, I believe, at the recording of this video. And it also just destroys all of your opponent's spell and trap cards. While with Garden, it's during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Traptrix in addition to your regular normal summon, and the first time each insect or plant monster you control would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not. Overall, I think this is a really good effect, especially for the field spell. And for a spell lineup, it's not too heavy. Now we move into our trap lineup. For our traps, we play 3 copies of Traptrix Holutea. This is going to be another special summon to the field. You can activate this card once it's set by discarding 1 normal trap card. You special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster. It's level 4 Earth plant with 400 attack and 2400 defense. And you banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Traptrix monster in your graveyard to special summon itself. So it recurs any of your Traptrix in the graveyard and special summon itself as a free body to make link plays or Xyz plays with it. Next up, we're going 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Guys, if you have ever gone up against this card, you know how powerful this card can be. Basically, at the end of the battle phase, you can actually activate this card's effect. Basically, this will just reduce your opponent's card control to 1, equaling this. And basically, it'll just force your opponent to get rid of a lot of stuff they will probably need on their board for next match. So overall, very good card indeed. Next up, we have 2 copies of our Floodgate Trap Hole. This is when your opponent summons a monster, change that monster's face down position. By the effect, it cannot change its battle position. So overall, this is like a big beater monster that is in a link. Maybe it's a Seize monster, maybe it's a Synchro or Fusion that you're having a hard time dealing with. This can simply just put it on its ass and basically just knock it out. So overall, very good card advantage there. We also have 2 copies of Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. When a monster is special summoned, the turn activates its effect, your opponent's field, you can negate the effect and destroy that card. So again, it negates and also destroys it. 2 copies of Terrifying Trap Hole Nightmare. This is a really cool one that you guys don't see too much of, but it has the effect of if your opponent has special summoned a monster this turn, target 1 monster your opponent controls 2,000 or more attack, destroy it. Then if you have a whole normal monster in your graveyard, you can banish 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard. So it has a lot going on with it. Between banishment, your opponent monster more likely having more than 2,000 attack. So overall, this is going to resolve a lot more times than it wouldn't. Finally, we're playing 2 1 copies. This is going to be your Bottomless Trap Hole and your Gravedigger Trap Hole. Gravedigger basically just punishes your opponent for basically doing anything that they're trying to do. Causes them 2k damage, and then if your opponent summons a monster with 1500 or more attack, this card, Bottomless Trap Hole, will actually banish it. And again, banishing is kind of hard to get rid of, unless you're playing against something like Metaphys or anything like that. So overall, this will stop your opponent's plays dead in its track. Now, let's get into the extra deck. So, for our links, we play 3 copies of Traptrix Sarah. As you guys know, this is your link 1 with your Traptrix. Very generic card to build, but also very key in your combos. She has the effect of also not being affected by trap cards, and she also has 2 following effects. First, if normal trap cards activate, you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name than the card you control. And if your other Traptrix monster's effect is activated, you can set 1 normal hole monster directly from your deck. So she sets stuff from the deck and special summons from the deck too. So overall, good advantage for just only 1 monster in this deck. Up next, we have our 3 copies of Link 3, Traptrix Adipus. So this is 2 monsters including 1 insect or plant monster. This Link summon monster is unaffected by all traps. All Traptrix monsters you control gain 1000 attack until you have, or while you have a normal trap in your graveyard. And with returning a target face-up cards to your opponent controls equal to the number of insect plant monsters you control, negate their effects. She also has an effect where you can banish 1 normal trap from your graveyard, and if you do, destroy 1 of those targeted face-up monsters. So she has a attack boost that probably helps a lot of monsters get over stuff. She can banish stuff, and overall she can also destroy pop cards too and negate effects as well. Very nice. And finally, in the links, we have 2 copies of Traptrix Cularia. 2 insect or plant monsters, obviously. The links on monsters unaffected by trap cards. And it also has the effect after you activate a whole normal trap, you can set it instead of sending it to the graveyard, and during your end phase, you can target one Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Very nice. It has that recursion. It actually lets your trap stay on the field instead of going straight to the graveyard after being activated. So overall, you're not losing too much card advantage on that. Getting into our Xyz, we have 2 copies of our Traptrix Pingulicula. Very weird name in this deck. She is 2 level 4 monsters, extremely generic, and they have the following effect. While this card has materials, it's unaffected by trap effects and the activated effects of other monsters with the same type this card's material. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can attach one material from this card, add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, and if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard or banished by a card effect, you can attach one of those cards to it as material. So basically, if you get rid of something, like you're banishing it through bottomless trap hole, maybe it's getting destroyed, instead it'll actually attach to this card, so your opponent won't be able to use it. This is really great whether you're doing something like Albaz or any deck that needs certain monsters in the graveyard. It'll just attach itself to this, and therefore you won't have to worry about it being live in the graveyard. Coming here, we have 2 copies of Traptrix Alomeris. She's a little more specific, as in 2+ more level 4 monsters, also unaffected by trap cards. You can attach 2 materials from this card, special summon a level 4 lower insect or plant monster from your graveyard. And if your opponent's monster leaves the field because of your card effect and is now in the graveyard banished, you can attach 1 material from this card, then target one of them, special summon it to your field. So, as we were saying with the first Traptrix, she kind of just attaches monsters or materials as to herself, whereas this one will actually summon them to the field, so your opponent doesn't have any real control over that. And ending the extra deck off, we have 3 copies of Traptrix Rafflesia. And you guys know how much of a pain this card can be because it's been all over the meta. Unaffected by traps, shocker. And then you can also has the effect of cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. Your opponent cannot target Traptrix monsters you control, except this one with card effects, and once per turn you can attach a material from this card and send 1 whole normal trap card. This meets its activation conditions from your deck to your graveyard. This effect becomes the trap effect instead. So you can send any of your traps straight from your deck to the graveyard, and this monster basically copies that effect. I hope you guys did enjoy this deck profile today. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to leave me a like, comment below, let me know what you guys want to see next, follow me for more content, and as always, have a nice day.